Hi, everybody, and welcome to Things in My Head. I'm Angel, your host. Today, we are going to be talking about weddings because you always hear about weddings in June. Brides always want to get married in June. And we have the perfect spot and the perfect wedding planner from BridgePort Lake Bed and Breakfast. She happens to be one of our sponsors. We're going to be talking to Regina Partain today, right after this. For centuries, essential oils have been trusted to treat injuries, bring health and wellness, and peace of mind. Rocky Mountain Oils has that knowledge and experience and brings the purest essential oils to your family. Offset the high cost of medicine and rely on the experience, trust, and insight of the ancients and Rocky Mountain Oils. Call 1-866-493-8159 or visit us at www.rockymountainoils.com. Welcome back to Things in My Head. We're talking weddings today with our favorite wedding planner, Regina Partain from the BridgePort Lake Bed and Breakfast in Chico, Texas. How are you doing, Regina?
I'm fabulous. How are you today?
I'm doing great. Now, I want to let my listeners know that we are doing this interview through Skype, and our connection's not so great, so there's a little bit of interference, but we're going to get through this, right, Regina?
We are, Angel. We are trudging on.
So, weddings. What a perfect setting out there in Chico, Texas by Bridgeport Lake. Tell us a little bit about Bridgeport Lake Bed and Breakfast, first of all.
Oh, I'd love to. We have the amazing blessing of having this beautiful two-story home on Lake Bridgeport, up on the north end of the lake. We have two guest rooms that overlook the lake. One of them has a full wall of bay windows overlooking the lake. The other one has a deck that you could go out on overlooking the lake. And our yard terraces down to the lake. And so it's just a beautiful, peaceful, serene place to relax and unwind and let me pamper you.
So how are you going to pamper us if we come and stay with you for the weekend?
Oh my, well, from the moment you walk in the door, we want to make this a special event. And we have chocolate roses on your pillow. We have, I do a turn down service in the evening. I turn your bed down, close your curtains, bring you up a pitcher of ice water and glasses, bring you a wonderful dessert after the dinner. Most of our guests like to go out for dinner and then come back. And then I always have a special dessert for them in their room when they come back. And my job is just to pamper, and I take my job very seriously. So I want everyone who walks through our door to just relax and let go and let me take care of all the details for them.
Well, I have to admit that now I have not been to Bridgeport Lake Bed and Breakfast, but one of these days, Regina and I actually live very close to each other. So one of these days I'm going to come visit. But I have seen some of the recipes that she has posted online for breakfast, and let me tell you, if I wasn't gluten-free, man, I'd be heading up there just for breakfast. So one of the things that I do want to talk to you about, Regina, is that you're a wedding planner. You are actually a wedding consultant, and that kind of goes along with being a bed and breakfast owner, but I mean, you're the real deal.
Thank you. When we decided to open the bed and breakfast, I thought that would be a perfect complement to being the innkeeper. And while I had planned at least one wedding prior to and helped with weddings, done florals, just done anything you can name about a wedding, I've been involved in it at some level. And so our backyard is the perfect venue for an outdoor wedding, with it terracing down to the lake, and we do the ceremony lakeside, just right by the lake, and it's just gorgeous. It's just a beautiful place to do it.
How many weddings have you done there so far?
We've done about a half a dozen. Our first year in business, this is only our third year in business. Our first year in business, we were focused on just getting the word out about the B&B and letting folks come out and stay. And last year, we did about a half a dozen weddings. We have one coming up in a week and another one in the planning stages at the moment. So we haven't done a ton of weddings out here, but every one we've done has been so special and so wonderful. And we do a lot of DIY weddings. We're very flexible. I personally do not believe that a wedding should cost as much as a new car or a down payment on a house. So we work.
I kind of believe that too.
Yeah. So we work with every couple to create the best thing for their budget And so we do a lot of DIY weddings where the brides and grooms take on some of the responsibility for setup or takedown or the food for the reception, and thereby lower their costs. And we're fine with that. We just want it to be a most memorable day for them. It's not all about the money for us. We want them to have a fabulous day and not break the bank in the process.
I love that, because a lot of times you'll plan a destination wedding, which for a lot of people this would be, coming to Texas to get married. And the cost is so prohibited to a budget. I mean, you just might as well throw the budget right out the window. But to be able to have a consultant that knows her stuff, for one thing, and then is also able to help you. I mean, you're very crafty, and you can help with the flowers and decorating, and the bride and groom can help you, and they can bring their own decorations if they so choose. And, I mean, I love that, because when you're planning a wedding and you're planning a life together, the big wedding and the big expense for weddings is really passé. Don't you think?
I do. And, I see young couples just struggling to foot the bill for that day. And I'm not saying that we don't have some costs involved here. We do. And we're not in business just for our health. We are in business to make a little profit. But we do not believe that a wedding should be exorbitant. And so we really work at working with the couple and their budget. And, taking a look, and we talk from the very beginning, we talk about what they want in their wedding and what's most important to them. We talk about the budget. We talk about what are you willing to sacrifice on to get this big thing that you want over here. We work with them the whole way through. And and we try and make that day just the most special event that they can have.
Now, you do have a couple of rooms actually accessible for weddings. Am I right?
Yes, we do. We have 2 rooms that overlook the lake, as I mentioned before. The one with the balcony serves as our bride's dressing room and the bridal suite. And then the other room serves as the groom's dressing room. And they have use of the grounds all day. We don't limit them to just a small window, because we do not plan more than one wedding a day. In fact, one wedding in a weekend is really a max for us, or in a 2-day period. So they have complete use of the grounds. If they want to decorate, they can decorate. If they want us to decorate, we'll decorate. And we'll do everything to even making the bouquet, the corsages, the boutonnieres, table decorations. We'll make all of that in the colors they want. I do a fabric flower bouquet it's on one of my Pinterest boards, and it gets hits almost daily. It's beautiful.
Speaking of your Pinterest board, what is your Pinterest board? Is it just BridgePort Lake Bed and Breakfast?
It is.
We're going to have a link to that up on our webpage at www.thingsinmyhead.net. Now remember, we dropped the blog and added a net, so you got to go to our new website and take a look, and let me know what you think about that. So back to weddings. Regina, let's say a bride and groom, they get engaged, they're on their way to get married and all of that. How far in advance should they be contacting you?
That's a really good question, and doesn't really have a finite answer. We have worked with couples who had less than a month to plan their wedding to folks who are looking at 18 months or longer to plan their wedding. I give them a list in the beginning of things, because it's really hard as a new bride. You're stressing over everything that needs to take place, and you really don't know everything that needs to take place. So I give them a list with a timeline if they have time before their wedding, and and help them understand, okay, some of these things that should have been planned out a year out, you don't have time for that right now, so you're going to switch that in a little bit, and we can help you with that. But we help them schedule it, whatever their time is. We help them break down all the things that need to happen before the wedding can come off the way they want it to. And we give them resources for, we do not add a charge. If we hire a vendor for them, let's say we help them with a caterer, we help them with a photographer or music, or, any of the videographer, any of that. We don't tack a fee on to that. We just pass along the fee of that vendor. And the other thing that we can do is, if they don't want us to do it, we'll give them resources. Here's a list of vendors, and you can go out and chat with them and choose which one you want, and you just negotiate with them and pay them. We do have a minister that does a lot of our weddings here locally, an officiant that helps us with that. He's amazing. He's just awesome. And, so the time, the further in advance they can do it is wonderful. But if we have an opening around when they're looking for, then we can work with that. And again, depending also, the other factor in that is how large a wedding they're wanting. If they're wanting a 200-person wedding, I need as much time as I can get to handle all of the preparations for that. If they're wanting a 20-person wedding, that's a little different in the planning. Or in the work that has to be done ahead of time.
So, yeah, you heard it. The more people, the more headaches. We've got our wedding consultant, our wedding planner, but I want to let our listeners know, too, that you are fairly close to Dallas, where you can pretty much get a dress, you can rent the tuxes, you can get limos, you can get anything you want. How far away from Dallas Metroplex are you?
We are 70 miles north of Fort Worth, and I don't know the exact mileage, but just a tad over an hour into Dallas, so an hour's drive. So it's not far. You can get to, and if lots of folks might want to come out, spend the weekend, have a weekend planned and go take in some culture in the city and then come back and relax at the lake. So whether it's shopping for the wedding or whether it's somebody for the baby.
How great, too, that if you're having a destination wedding or you're bringing a lot of people in for your wedding, guests outside of the state or the city or whatever, they can come in, and they obviously are not going to be able to stay at the bed and breakfast because there's only 2 rooms. So maybe the bride and the groom and, maybe parents or, a special guest or bridesmaids that came in out of town or whatever can stay at the bed and breakfast. But then everybody else can stay in Dallas and Fort Worth, and you're not on top of each other. And that's kind of one of the things when you have a wedding and people are coming in from out of town, especially when it's family and you have a lot of people, you just don't want to be entertaining them all the time when you're planning your wedding and going through your wedding and then getting ready to go on your honeymoon right after. You're exhausted, and it's kind of nice to have that little bit of space between you and family, right?
Very true. Very true. That's true. And one thing I wanted to mention also, we have the 2 rooms, and both rooms have queen size bed. However, we also have, 4 twin air beds that are on the legs, so they're not on the floor, as well as a queen-sized air bed. So let's say the girls want to have, the bridesmaids and the bride and all want to get together the night before, we can do a party here at the house for them. I will tell you, we are an alcohol-free event area, though. With the lake here, that's just a liability, a risk for people to get hurt that we don't want to have. And so the event itself is alcohol free. But having a party here for the girls,
that's a good rule, actually.
Yes, it is. So, but we've got lots of beds and lots of places we can put folks up if they wanted to do a party. We can do that as well.
Yeah, I mean, go drinking in town, come back, the next day, maybe have a brunch and have a girls' brunch or tea or something like that at the bed and breakfast. What a day it would be, really, with your bridesmaids. We've done that before with family that I've had weddings with and been in weddings for, and just I think the bridesmaids lunch with the moms and the bride and the bridesmaids, that's kind of special, and Regina will accommodate you, trust me.
My job is to make your time as special as I possibly can, whether that's as a guest in our room, whether that's for the wedding, the reception, any other type of gathering. Our job here is just to take the strain off, make it stress-free, and just let you relax.
Now, one of the things that, and this is wedding related, but it's kind of, it is, but it isn't. And I want to mention this here because this is something that I personally have enjoyed. Regina has a blog, and we've mentioned this before on the show when Regina was here before, that she has a blog at Regina at the Lake, and we'll have a link to that on our website as well. On that, she does a True Love Tuesday, and she's been doing a series of couples that have just gotten married and couples that are married and different stages of that marriage and different stages of family life. And I love this blog because when you're reading about couples, now she does interview couples from like when they're first married. She's interviewed couples that have been married 45 years, couples that are in the midlife of marriage, and just different pieces of advice that they can give and different memories that they have and different ways that they communicate with each other and that they live together, because let's face it, marriage is hard. The wedding is the easy part, right, Regina?
That's so true. Hard, but worth it.
So, True Love Tuesdays, what have you posted on there?
Unfortunately, True Love Tuesdays, as well as many of my blog pages, have taken just a slight hiatus while I've been advancing the book that is coming out of True Love Tuesdays. But I've interviewed couples around the world who have successful marriages, looking for those tips. My desire with that series and the book that's coming is to give hope to people who've never entered marriage before, that a good marriage is possible. Sometimes they've never had an example of a good marriage. Some people don't have any idea how wonderful it is to spend your life with another individual, and they have a fear around it, or they're just not quite sure about it, and they don't know what to expect. And the other is couples who maybe have already entered into marriage, but it's not doing everything that they thought it was going to do. It's not what they were expecting. And so giving them a very real look at marriage. We talk in those interviews, we get their love story, of course, but then we talk about what are the hard things? What are the joyous things? How do you handle this communication thing, which is the big thing in a lot of things? How do you keep that love alive for 55 years? It has been a true joy to interview these couples around the world and write their love stories and post them on the blog. And as I say, they are forming the foundation of the book. If I could, I'd love to talk about the book for just a moment.
Absolutely, go ahead.
All right. Well, the book, the name of the series in the blog is How to Bulletproof Your Marriage. I'm not sure exactly what the name of the book is going to be, but it's the same theme. And it will showcase these couples and their journeys. And again, starting from couples I've actually interviewed a couple that just got engaged and what they're expecting out of the marriage and how they're planning for that, all the way to couples who've been married for over 50 years. We'll have that continuum in there. But we'll be able to share not only that marriage is possible, successful marriage is possible, but some of the concrete things that you need to do. And then it'll also have a workbook aspect to it. So after every chapter, there's going to be a little worksheet that you can do with your mate. Or if you're not married yet and maybe there's not even a mate on the horizon, you may be able to apply it to your future planning. And so I'm really excited about that we can actually give working tools to couples to improve their marriage. So it really excites me.
How awesome is that? You could use it before you get married, during your marriage, at any stage, really. I happen to know that you're also doing a section on blended families, because marriage just isn't for the young anymore.
So true. The second book will be how to navigate having a blended family, and we've got some wonderful couples involved in that, and more popping up every day to get involved, because we know that first marriages haven't worked out with the divorce rate as high as it is. We know a lot of marriages haven't worked out, and the divorce rate for second and third marriages is even higher than it is for first marriages, and that surprises a lot of people. They think, oh well, I've got it right the second time, but unfortunately, no. If you don't learn from that first one, then the second one is not going to be much better. So we are interviewing couples who have successfully navigated blended families, and they're telling it like it is. They're talking about the things that were difficult and some of those things to look out for, where the minefields are, where those traps are, and how they got through it. And so again, we're wanting to give hope and concrete steps that people can do to improve their marriage. We want people to succeed at marriage. My husband and I have been married 44 years this year. In August, we'll have our 44th anniversary. And our marriage, like all marriages, is not roses all the time, but I wouldn't trade it for anything. It's, a glorious 44 years of being with this man. And he's put up with me that long.
You've probably put up with him too.
It's a mutual thing. It truly is. It truly is. It truly is. A friend of my mother's, when I was engaged, a friend of my mother's told me, she was an older woman, and I remember her telling me this so clearly 44 years ago. She said, honey, everybody is going to tell you that marriage is a 50-50 proposition. She said, don't you believe it. If you are not willing to give 100%, it is not going to work. And I have never forgotten that counsel. And it has stayed with me. And during the tough times, and when we all get to a place in our marriages where we think we're the only one doing the giving. Well, guess what? The person on the other side of that bed is also thinking they're the only one doing the giving. And so, it's remembering that if we're not willing to give it 100%, it's not going to work. It's not a meet me in the middle. It's a let me help you. Let me be here to make your life better. And as you do that, they will be there to help make your life better.
So you heard it here. You probably got the only wedding consultant on the planet that is actually qualified to give that advice.
Going back to the weddings and the wedding planner for just a moment, that is one of the things that excites me about being a wedding planner and about having weddings here is the opportunity that I can play a small part in helping a couple get started right. That maybe I can share with them some things that may make a difference, just like that woman shared with me. Maybe I can say something or do something in the process, or they can observe something in my husband and I where they say, you know what? I want a relationship like that. I want a marriage like that. Maybe I can help them through the stresses of getting married so they get off to a better start. And that's really what thrills me about having a wedding venue, is that hopefully I can have a positive impact on this new marriage.
Well, you have your saying, and one of the ones that impacted me was that if you're striving for perfection, you're trying to find a perfect mate with a perfect marriage in an imperfect world and imperfect human beings in that marriage. And it's not that you need to lower your standards, but you need to rethink what your priorities are going to be. And that has helped me. Now, I fall into that group of being remarried and having the blended family. And in fact, I was very blessed to be interviewed by Regina. Now, whether I make it to the book or not is another story. But my husband and I were very, very blessed to be interviewed by Regina. And, answering those questions were tough, I have to admit, because it made us think about why we really stayed together through some of the adversity that we had. And, our kids were not always nice to us. And now we're a happy family, but and we still have our pitfalls. But the fact of the matter is that it's not all 100% roses.
Can I ask you a question, Angel? Based on what you just said, did you find, I know you've gone through trials since our interview. Did going through that introspection process together help you in any way through those trials that you've gone through since that interview?
Well, and this, listeners, is what you call losing control of the interview. No, I'm kidding. Only Regina would turn the tables on me. No, it has in a way. Our oldest son, and I've said this before on the show, our oldest son is estranged from us personally himself. However, since the interview, he has had a child, and we have a beautiful grandchild. And those of you who are on my Facebook page, Things in My Head blog, you have seen pictures of Katerina, and she is like the joy of my life right now. But her father does not really have any interaction with us. So we see our grandchild through our daughter-in-law, who we've never really had a relationship with either, but we have laid down the swords and laid down the gauntlet basically and said, you know what? for Katerina's sake, we're going to get along and we're going to be a family, because she doesn't need to see all of this underlying tension, because it's silly. And I think for the most part, yes, looking introspectively with the interview helped us to get to that point, because honestly, at the time of the interview, and I think I even told you this then, we were not really interested in having a relationship with them because of some of the things that we disagreed with in their life, and some of the things that they disagreed with in our life. But because of our being able to look at it from a third-party point of view almost, sorry for the plain guys, we were able to kind of get to that point where now we can see our granddaughter, and we have a good relationship with our daughter-in-law, and the healing process has begun.
That's all. And
I think that's really, really important. Sometimes you just, and I want to say here to my listeners too, sometimes when you're getting married, I know that a lot of times if you belong to a church or an organization that offers counseling, premarital counseling, a lot of people do go through premarital counseling. Some people do not. And I just want to say that having that time to sit back and really look at your relationship and why you are doing what you're doing and how you really feel about it, it can put a lot of things into perspective and bring a lot of things up that you never really thought mattered. I mean, who cares if the lid to the toilet is not closed, or the toothpaste lid is not put on, or the cap to the toothpaste isn't put back on right, or, you know what? If you're OCD, that's going to bug you. It's not something you can just walk away and say, that's okay, I'll deal with it. So really you have to look at your circumstances, and you have to look at your life, and you have to kind of be that introspect, and having that premarital counseling does help. So that's my 2-cent advice there into it. Now, Regina, getting back to the bed and breakfast though, you're in Texas and cannot serve dinner. Am I correct?
Actually, we have discovered that we can serve dinner, but only to our guests. In other words, we can't operate as a restaurant. But if someone is staying here, we can definitely serve other meals to them, and we can charge for those meals appropriately. So that was new for us. We didn't know that. We didn't think we could.
So if someone has a wedding there,
we can serve some food to them. We're just we're cautious about what we do. And if it's going to be an elaborate meal, we'll prefer it to be catered, because I want to give my attention to the bride, to the wedding, and taking care of all of that. And so we'll have someone cater that if it's something elaborate meal. We often have, when I've said we have DIY weddings, a lot of times they bring the food in. They'll bring in a brisket and some sides or something or whatever, and we just have a good Texas dinner out there after the wedding. But we can do some.
That sounds like a lot of fun.
It is. We have so much fun at the weddings. It's wonderful. We love it. It's fulfilling to me, because I get to serve people, and that really is what I thrive on, being able to provide service to others.
Well, that's kind of the motto of an innkeeper anyway, isn't it? It is to just be a servant, because I have been to bed and breakfast where the innkeeper was not a servant, and you just didn't enjoy yourself. It's kind of nice to have somebody else pamper you for a while.
I've been to some of those as well.
I've got to ask you before we go on, where did that come from in you? Did you always want to be an innkeeper?
I don't think I always wanted to be an innkeeper, but I have a wonderful friend in Amarillo who has a bed and breakfast. Her bed and breakfast is Martha's Midtown Bed and Breakfast. It's right off of I-40 in Amarillo. And we started staying there in 1999, I think. And she just made my life so easy when I would be at her place. And I had a different business at the time, and I was traveling a lot. And anytime I could stay at her place, I would, because she just pampered me and wouldn't let me lift a finger, and took care of me. And I would stay with her sometimes for weeks, as I was growing a new portion of the business in that area. And in fact, at one point, we made her an honorary member of our company because she provided such great service to me. I'd always told her I couldn't do what I did without her. And that's the kind of service I want to provide. I learned a great deal staying at her bed and breakfast. And, she just is a total servant in that regard and taking care of people and just makes you feel wonderful and so pampered. And I thought, that's what I want to do. I don't want to do anything less than that. And I enjoyed it so much over the years. We said, we want to do that someday.
Awesome. So Regina, someone wants to plan a destination wedding, or they're in Texas close by maybe, and they want to come out to Bridgeport Lake Bed and Breakfast. How do they get in touch with you?
Well, they can go online and take a look at our website. They can reach out to me. Our website is bridgeportlakebnb.com. They can reach out to me by email, regina@bridgeportlakebnb.com, or they can call me at 940-644-0081. Let me repeat that. It's 940-644-0081. And you can also find me on Facebook.
You got the website, you got the phone number, you got the email, and the Facebook page, and the Pinterest page. So there is no excuse for you not having the wedding of your dreams within budget with a wedding consultant that not only knows her stuff, guys, but she is a wonderful person. She's been a wonderful friend to me, and she's a wonderful sponsor to Things in My Head. She does sponsor the show. So that's it for this edition of Things in My Head. Now remember, when you go to our website, we've dropped the blog and added a net, so it's thingsinmyhead.net now. Now, if you do go to the other web address, then you'll still find us. But just get it in your head. It's thingsinmyhead.net, and you can find us there. You can find us on Facebook, on Twitter. Just use hashtag thingsinmyhead. We'll find you there. We are also on iTunes, on Stitcher, on TuneIn, and we are on our website. So if you want to find us, we're everywhere. You can't miss us. Regina, thank you so much for coming and talking about weddings. Everybody, we love you.